What's wrong, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Joe Rogan has dropped a pretty big bombshell. Now, it's one that I think a lot of us aren't necessarily going to be surprised about, but the fact that his massive audience is going to hear this and see the truth that many of us have put together over the past couple of years is massively important. Joe Rogan siding with RFK Jr. over really what's driving a lot of these radicals, these trans radicals, to do what they do. And we very clearly have an epidemic going on now. We have a monkey see, monkey do aspect to it where, people are doing it, then other people want to do it. They fall in love, they romanticize the idea of doing it, of other people, the fame that they think other people got, even though I wish they would watch like my videos where I call them absolute losers and cowards. But apparently these people are sick and twisted. But this is a pretty interesting clip. Rogan sides with RFK Jr. Joe Rogan exposes dirty secret he claims is causing this horrific incidents at schools across the United States. Joe Rogan claimed that there is a connection between psychiatric drugs and mass events that is a dirty secret nobody's talking about. During a recent episode of his podcast, Rogan and comedian Dave Landau discussed the mental health of these individuals after trans radical Robert Westman, took out two kids in a Minneapolis church. The problem with some people is they get to a certain point in their life, they have no friends and no community and no identity and no life, and it's not like they're successful and they feel like ish. They have gender dysphoria on top of that, and they're probably on a bunch of SSRIs, Rogan said. Now, I want to point something out. I want to say something here, too. I want to have an open moment with my viewers. Oftentimes, these moments fuel criticism from people, my haters, people that, spend all day obsessing about me and live streaming about me because they have nothing at all positive in their life. But I don't think everybody who is on SSRIs is a bad person. I'm on SSRIs, and I have been for 15 years to deal with panic attacks. It's something I've lowered my dose and I'm trying to get off of now that I understand more of it. But, I can honestly say also, at no point have I been on them, have I thought about doing anything insane. I do remember, though, when they first put me on them, and they worked for me. I still have anxiety now and again, but I don't really have these like full-blown panic attacks like I used to. They told me, hey, you could have these crazy self-harm thoughts when you start taking. I remember that very vividly, and it was like 15 plus years ago or whatever. They're like, hey, if you have any of these thoughts, please call us immediately, discontinue use. So this is something that these drug manufacturers know can be a side effect of these drugs. And I don't think you're a bad person if you're on them. It's just like I always say, right? Like, okay, yes, correlation isn't always causation. It's like, for example, basically every one of these school losers were on SSRIs and were trans, but that doesn't mean because they were trans, they did these things. It's other things in their life. It's always a combination of things. I don't think anyone popped an SSRI and then went out and did this kind of stuff. It's the other, they have other problems in their lives that doctors want to fix with a pill instead of fixing with, therapy or exercise or anything like that. So I don't think you're automatically a bad person if you have to take these drugs, if they're helping you. But I do hope, like I have finally decided to do, you attempt to go at it. Don't just trust the pill forever, go at it and try to get your mental health better, get physical, cut back, whatever your thing is, and then try to get off them. If you can't, you can't. It doesn't make you a bad person, but there definitely is this correlation where we have a take a pill society, right? I have high blood pressure. Well, you could work out and eat better, but here's a pill. I have anxiety. Well, you could drink less, get more sleep, and work out more, but here's a pill. Like I only recently started taking my health more seriously. I wish I would have done it 15 years ago, but I can unequivocally say eating clean and basically cutting back drastically on alcohol has already had immense positive effects on my day-to-day anxiety. And I know if I cut out alcohol completely, it'll probably be even better. And if I work out, it'll probably be even better. So it's just one of those things. You know, I'm finally taking accountability at 42, which is a little embarrassing, but so what? You know? Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Without offering any evidence to support his claim, Rogan went on to say the link between these events and psychiatric drugs is real and everyone knows it. I agree with him. It's just this dirty little secret that no one talks about because all the media is paid off by the pharmaceutical drug companies. The podcast who frequently takes swipes at the mainstream media said. Westman, of course, we know what he did. The next day, RFK Jr. announced that he had ordered a probe into the individual's potential use of gender-affirming care drugs and SSRIs, which treat depression and anxiety. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be willing to bet that he was using them. Kennedy told Fox and Friends an investigation would be launched to determine whether any drugs Westman was on and may have used to transition to a woman played a role in the incident. We are doing these kind of studies now, he said. We're launching studies into their potential contribution. This is one of the things like I love about RFK. I never vote for him for president, but I would literally go door knocking to make sure he keeps his position at the Health and Human Services. If you notice yesterday, Florida came out yesterday and said, no more mandatory jabs for anybody, right? Did you notice that? Do you see that coverage? Why do you think Florida did that? Some might think, well, Florida generally leads and they've done so with the COOF and stuff. That's part of it. But also understand this. This month, any day now, RFK Jr. is going to be releasing a study about how we went from autism in 1 in 30,000 to 1 in 30, right? I think attorney generals are like, we know what's in that report. We know that something somewhere along the line is potentially linked to this insane increase, and we want to be ahead of the curve. We want to be, hey, Florida was already banned. You know, Florida's banned any requirements on this stuff. Let people, let parents choose, right? I think they're going to find the same things with SSRIs. I think they're going to find a lot of that, And it's just because it is a Band-Aid applied to people who need help, but doctors don't give them the actual help they need. Some of the SSRI drugs and other psychiatric drugs might be contributing to the attacks. Many of them have black box warnings that warn of, doing crimes, which I can agree. I heard those same things when I went on them. So we can't exclude those as a culprit. And those are the kinds of studies we are doing. Rogan said on his podcast, no one wants to make the connection, because you also risk the wrath of all those people on them saying, I'm on them and I'm not doing anything. I'm not on the pills and I need these to function. It's not the pills. I need these to function. They'll say, maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know how your brain works, but the reality is most of these people have committed these crimes are on psychiatric medication. The right-wing commenter has said the most popular podcast in the U.S. with 14 million monthly listeners, but has been criticized for sharing controversial views and conspiracy theories in the past. He regularly uses a platform to go after mainstream media and big pharma. SSRIs work by increasing the levels of serotonin in the brain, which can help improve mood, reduce anxiety, and treat depression. Medication side effect warning does include increased thoughts of taking yourself out or others, particularly for young adults under 25. So maybe we should be a little more careful, Maybe we should be a little more careful about prescribing them. Senator Tina Smith blasted RFK for using the tragedy to push a political agenda. I dare you to go to Annunciation School and tell our grieving community that, in effect, weapons don't take lives, antidepressants do. I mean, I would say that. I'd be happy to go there and say that. According to the Washington Post analysis of their database, the lifetime prevalence of antidepressants use among these losers over the past 30 years is 4%. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that that's much higher. That I don't believe. And here's the clip.
You know, the problem is some people get to a certain point in their life and they have no friends and no community and no identity and no life, and they're not successful and they feel like shit, and then they have gender dysphoria on top of that, and then they're probably on a bunch of SSRIs, which RFK Jr. is going to apparently do some sort of a large-scale research into the connection between mass shootings and psychiatric drugs, because it is real and everyone knows it, and it's just this dirty secret that no one talks about because all the media is paid off by the pharmaceutical drug companies, and nobody wants to make this correlation connection because you also risk the wrath of all these people that are on them saying, I'm on them and I'm not doing anything. It's not the pills. I need these to function.
I do think that I could tell you, I think they're overprescribed. I wish that my doctor had looked into more of like my lifestyle and proposed other, hey, do sauna work, do meditation, work out, be less fat, drink less, because I'm already seeing positive effects of doing those things. And, maybe it would have added years to my life, to be honest with you. If the doctor had been more strict on me and said, look, you need to do this stuff, maybe I wouldn't have spent the last 10 years of my life morbidly obese. I'm working on it, but boy, I'll tell you what, it's not easy to lose weight at 42. It's a struggle. You got to work every day and you got to stay connected to it. When I am on a good run, my anxiety's better. And I'm not a doctor, but I can just say that, like, here you go, decades of evidence that SSRIs cause these mass events. 1989, Prozac, Zoloft, Defexor, which is what I'm on. Took 24 hostages, no memory of it. Prozac, SSRIs, Unc psych meds, I don't know, UNK ones. Trazodone, Prozac, Fanapt, Zoloft, Trazodone. I mean, this is not a made-up thing. And I hope more people start looking into it, and I hope that doctors get a little bit more involved in actually doing their jobs rather than cramming pills down everybody's throat. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.